Tonight on CFTK-TV News, the Terrace Fire Department has some seasonal safety tips, the political party leaders were campaigning on Vancouver Island, and we have an update on the allegations levied against India.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Good evening, I'm Cal Maslin, and here's what's making the news in the Northwest and beyond for today. Several local mountain biking trails that are located on Thornhill and Copper Mountain, respectively, have been closed due to some heavy rainfall that took place in the latter half of September. Between September 20th and 23rd, the area got a combined total of 71.6 millimeters of rainfall, and since then, every trail on Thornhill's Mountain has been shut down, while the Lucky 7, Pack Horse, and Lick Bike trails were closed on Copper Mountain. Further reports have disclosed that some parts of the trails have been washed out and other areas are no longer safe to access because of erosion or debris, and any plans that involve repairs were said to have to wait until sometime in the new year. This will likely be quite hurtful to the local mountain biking community. For those in the Prince Rupert area, be on the lookout for strong winds that may cause some damage tomorrow morning and afternoon. An approaching frontal system will track across Haida tomorrow morning and onto the north and central coast in the afternoon. The strong winds will be at a rate of 90 kilometers an hour coming from the southeast to potentially increasing to 110 kilometers an hour. These high winds may result in power outages and fallen tree branches, so use caution. The Terrace Fire Department has some seasonal tips for safety as the frost begins to set in. Here's CFTK's Jaylene Matthews with more.
As the chill begins to set in this season, the Terrace Fire Department has some home fire prevention tips for residents. Fire Chief Chad Cooper says a prime recommendation is to check your smoke alarms.
So they should be checked monthly, so you hit the little red button, make sure they're audible and working. And then you also want to change the batteries if they have batteries that can be changed. And then you also want to make sure that they're no more than 10 years old. So if you take down your smoke alarm, flip it on the back, you'll see the manufacture date, and then it's 10 years from that date.
And as we begin to heat our homes this season, Cooper says it's important to maintain our heating sources.
Any resident that has gas-fired appliances in their home, so gas furnace, gas stove, that they install a combination smoke and CO alarm in that area, so they can really monitor in case the pilot light goes out and you have gas being leaked in there. Also, if your furnace is not burning efficiently, there's some byproducts with CO that could be the silent killer and reduce oxygen levels in your home. So if you have a gas-fired furnace, we recommend that you have a technician come in and change the filters, check the burners, make sure they're all operating properly, and the shut-off valves are intact and working. So they can really monitor to make sure that your burners are working efficiently, and it's going to save you some gas and also mitigate the risk from carbon monoxide. And then if you have a fireplace, as we approach the cooler season here, we'll see our response intakes bump up with chimney fires. So we recommend that anybody that has a wood-fired stove, that they thoroughly clean it properly and make sure there's no soot in the.
And he reminds residents to clean the lint trap every single time you use the dryer.
And also you can have a contractor come in, and residents are really good at cleaning their dryer, but we seem to forget about the dryer pipe that goes from the dryer to the exhaust outlet on the outside of your home. That's a great place for lint to build up and create a fire hazard.
For CFTK News, I'm Jaylene Matthews.
Coming up next, the unpredictable nature of the election has some independent candidates liking their chances. Welcome back. Over to the election now, and all three leaders took their campaigns to Vancouver Island. John Rustad was in Nanaimo trying to drum support in a battleground rising. Rob Buffum has more on what's at stake.
It's an honor to be able to be here today.
Taking his closing pitch to a battleground riding in Nanaimo, the Conservative leader is pledging to build a new patient tower with a catheterization lab for heart disease patients.
Nanaimo is ready for change. Nanaimo's a community. I think that's going to be very important, both in terms of this next election, but also in terms of BC's future.
Asked about the tone of the campaign, including multiple days of questions about his candidate in Surrey South, Brent Chapman, who's passed online offensive comments about Muslims and those seemingly questioning the veracity of mass shootings like Sandy Hook, sparked a firestorm, Rustad pushed back.
David Eby cannot defend what he's been doing, so he has been out basically just lying the entire campaign. I've actually never seen this level of lying from an opposition.
Fellow BC Conservative Eleanor Sturko weighed in Tuesday about controversial remarks made by candidates in her own party.
I've been disappointed to see some of the comments that people have made. They certainly don't represent my personal values or beliefs. I know that they do not represent the values of our party overall. And I think that it does reflect on all of us when things are said, especially things that are divisive.
And despite a steady stream of policy announcements, including promises to add healthcare spending, Rustad has been doing damage control at various press conferences.
The issue of candidate quality has been the Conservative Party's Achilles heel. We have seen a drop in the Conservatives' momentum and advantage to the NDP.
On advantage and momentum, Rustad's opponents hope to ride through the remaining days of the campaign.
The other parties, as mentioned, also were on Vancouver Island since the election campaign is ending soon, and this is one of the last chances that the party leaders have to sway voters. CTV's Penny Daflos on what else was discussed by the leaders.
Whether it was a campaign office, a volunteer rally, or a lakefront speech, David Eby is pouring every last ounce of energy into reaching voters with 4 stops today alone.
For me, politics is about showing up.
A face-to-face approach he's had throughout the past 3 weeks, hearing people's concerns and priorities firsthand.
I'm not taking anything for granted. And being physically present, showing up wherever I can, talking to as many people as possible, that's the work that I did before the election, during the election, and it's what I'll do after the election as well.
It's energizing for his supporters who've been keen to hear from the NDP leader himself.
Let's get out there.
Even if it's just a whistle stop for a pep talk.
Healthcare in British Columbia is in a crisis. There's no question it is on the verge of collapsing.
The Conservative leader took a different approach. John Rustad focused on policy with his only public appearance of the day.
David Eby and the NDP are actually running against their own record. They're running against the issues that they have created and saying, just give us a little more time and we'll fix it. After 7 years of NDP, I don't think anybody can point to anything that has been improved.
Not seeing a serious response from the other two parties to the reality of climate change. We're also not seeing a serious response to the reality of inequality, of deepening poverty.
The leader of the BC Green Party talked policy before attending a rally in the early evening.
The government has to work with farmers. Government has to recognize that the experts on food security and agriculture are the people that are growing food in this province.
Eby ended the day in Victoria Beacon Hill, where the Green leader appears poised to defeat an NDP cabinet minister to win the riding. And so both the Greens and the NDP are doubling down on their ground game in the final hours of this campaign. Penny Daflos, CTV News, Victoria.
In a close election, the balance of power could come down to a few seats, and this year there are several high-profile incumbents running as independents. They're trying to win re-election without the party machine behind them, and CTV's Shannon Patterson reports on why they think they have a real chance at it.
So let's talk about momentum.
Corinne Kirkpatrick won West Vancouver Capilano in 2020 as a BC Liberal, but she's running for re-election as an independent.
It is different. The first thing in the morning of the day that the writs dropped, we had no money. So that's one of the big differences. And we didn't have that party machine behind us either.
Kirkpatrick is one of 5 BC United incumbents running as independents.
We've had to start from ground zero in a lot of ways, which has made it, to be truthful, it's made it exciting. It's back to the grassroots of politics, out door knocking, out meeting with community groups.
It's been quite, again, liberating to be able to really directly represent this riding. I've been calling it direct democracy for Peace River North.
The BC United turned independent candidates believe voters unhappy with the NDP but turned off by the Conservatives are looking for another option.
I think we have a chance, and every day I think that chance is better, because the more that people realize that the alternative in the BC Conservative Party are a number of extremists and people with very strange and dangerous views, that potentially those people could get into power, people are realizing how important it is to be moderate.
A lot of people in my region have been very thankful, whether they vote for me or not. They've been thankful the fact that it's giving people a choice. And especially in such divided times right now in provincial politics, I think that's what's needed. And that's why you see so many independents running.
And if the election is close, an independent MLA could tip the balance of power.
What does that look like for me to be able to directly negotiate what is best for Peace River North for the first time ever? Having that, putting us on the map finally in the provincial legislature.
In the past 75 years, only one independent has been elected to the BC legislature, Vicky Huntington in Delta South back in 2009. On Saturday night, there is a real chance it could happen again. Shannon Patterson, CTV News, West Vancouver.
Turning to tonight's weather, the North Coast is expected to get a chance of showers. It has a wind warning in place along with a low of 8 degrees. The Terrace-Kitimat area should be home to a chance of showers as well, while the low sits at 5 degrees, and the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District will likely see partly cloudy conditions and a low of -1 degree. On the North Coast, the week for them will be home to rain and clouds, then some sun before the clouds come back, and the high jumps from 13 to 7 degrees. In the Terrace-Kitimat area, the upcoming week will consist of mostly clouds and rain, and even a couple of mixed sunny and cloudy days as the high bounces between 9 and 4 degrees. And in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, the next week or so will be almost entirely rain and clouds, with possibly a little sun mixed in as their high shifts from 9 to 2 degrees. Checking out the highways now, visit Drive BC for the latest and up-to-date conditions, and as always, drive safe out there. On Highway 16, there was mowing, a geotechnical investigation, slippery sections, bridge maintenance, other maintenance, road maintenance work, utility work, construction work, and paving operations. Highway 37 has some bridge maintenance, water pooling, utility work, roadside brushing, and slippery sections. Highway 37A has some road maintenance work, and there is some construction work on the Nishka Highway. And this is what the roads were looking like this afternoon around the region from the view of the province's highway cams. Still to come, a key riding has its candidates believing that it will be a very close race. Welcome back. Explosive allegations rocked the public inquiry into foreign interference as the Prime Minister took the stand. Justin Trudeau revealed that classified intelligence shows that parliamentarians within the Conservative Party may be helping foreign nationals meddle in Canadian democracy, and that it's clear India was involved in the death of a Sikh activist in BC. CTV's Judy Trid reports.
Our witness this morning is the Prime Minister, Justin.
Backed by classified information, the Prime Minister dropped his bombshell under oath.
Because I am Prime Minister and privy to all these informations, I have the names of a number of parliamentarians, former parliamentarians and/or candidates in the Conservative Party of Canada who are engaged or at high risk of, or for whom there is clear intelligence around foreign interference.
The warnings about that came in a June parliamentary report. Names were redacted, so were party affiliations, until now. Trudeau said he directed CSIS to inform all party leaders, but Conservative Pierre Poilievre refused to get the necessary security clearance to protect his party.
To not get those classified briefings means that nobody in his party, not him, nobody in a position of power knows the names of these individuals and can take appropriate action.
In a statement, Poilievre deflected responsibility and accused Trudeau of lying to distract from a Liberal caucus revolt against his leadership. The political maneuvers come amid a war of words on the global stage. Both India and Canada have expelled top diplomats after the RCMP publicly accused the Indian government of silencing its critics by orchestrating a campaign of drive-by shootings, home invasions, extortion, and murder in Canada. On the stand, Trudeau revealed that in 2023 at the G20, he appealed to Prime Minister Narendra Modi to help Canada investigate the murder of Sikh activist Hardeep Singh Nijjar.
He responded with the usual response from him, which is that we have people who are outspoken against the Indian government living in Canada that he would like to see arrested.
Under cross-examination, Trudeau was asked if there are Liberal parliamentarians at risk of foreign interference. Trudeau responded yes, and in other parties as well. But the Prime Minister pointed out that he's taken action to deal with the problem within his party. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
The provincial election is just days away, and one of the key battlegrounds is the riding of Surrey-Cloverdale, where the two main candidates admit that it'll be a very tight race. CTV's Michelle Bernoro has more.
I'm Eleanor Sturko. I'm your Conservative candidate.
Conservative candidate Eleanor Sturko has been pounding the pavement for months.
Knocked on thousands of doors, yeah.
And her rival, the NDP's Mike Starchuk, has been doing the same.
It's going very well. The doors have become very receptive over this last few days.
Both candidates well aware of just how hard they'll have to fight if they want to take Surrey-Cloverdale.
It's extremely tight. I think this is really a tight race.
I think the race is going to be close. I think where it's going to be won is on the doorsteps.
And on the doorsteps, what both candidates say is first and foremost on the minds of voters is health care.
People who have trouble accessing health care or feel that they've received substandard care as a result of long waiting lists. And they're interested in talking to us about our plan to expand health care.
We promised a new hospital to come to Cloverdale along with the Regional Cancer Centre. It's been under construction for the past year. So we're actually saying and doing the things that we said that we would be getting done.
This riding was long held by the Liberals until the last election when the NDP won it. Since then, the boundaries of this riding have been redrawn. Yeah. Just how that shift in boundaries might affect the outcome on voting day remains to be seen, but both candidates say they've got a lot to offer voters.
My priority this week is to make sure that people in this constituency know what's at risk. We know what we've delivered. We know what we're delivering on.
Right now, the vehicle for change is the Conservative Party of BC, and I'm hearing from people that they're just interested in seeing a change.
Whether voters want change or not will be decided Saturday. Michelle Bernoro, CTV News, Surrey.
Now to the latest on another shocking random attack in downtown Vancouver. The beating of a female tourist by a complete stranger this weekend has some residents on edge, and community groups are calling on political parties to make public safety an urgent priority. CTV's Abigail Turner has more on this.
Massimo Falvo has a long history with the law. Court documents show he was out on probation when police allege he attacked a tourist Sunday morning.
I normally feel safe in the city, like just walking around, so it's very concerning that someone got attacked, yeah.
It's definitely sad to know, yeah.
No, it's definitely, it's sad to know. I guess it happens in other cities too.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a reality for most women.
According to the VPD, a 35-year-old woman was walking near Waterfront Station when she was punched in the face and repeatedly kicked.
We're always looking to determine what a potential motive was, and sometimes there just isn't one. In this case, it appears to be completely random and unprovoked, so that's incredibly concerning.
Court documents show Falvo is a repeat offender. He previously pleaded guilty to 4 counts of aggravated assault. On social media, he appears to brag he was once given probation and not put in jail. Sunday morning's incident is just the latest assault in downtown Vancouver. In September, a shocking attack left one man dead and another with his hand severed.
It is frustrating.
Incidents like these has downtown Vancouver calling on political parties to make safety in the city's core a priority.
We're looking for comprehensive support for individuals living with mental health and addiction. We're looking for increased investments into law enforcement, and we're looking for more support and more resources around repeat offenders.
And now we turn our attention to the stock markets. The Canadian dollar is down 0.1 cent. The price of gold is up $16.20. Oil is up 27 cents. Natural gas is down 2 cents. Aluminum is up $35. In Toronto, the TSX is up 129.28 points. The Venture Index is up 2.26. In New York, the Dow Jones is up 161.35 and Nasdaq is up 6.53. Still ahead, the Vancouver Canucks have not had the best start to the NHL season. Welcome back. The Vancouver Canucks still don't have a win as their tough road trip continues, and there's clearly room for improvement. Here's CTV's Ben Milger with this week's Ringside Report.
Tampa Bay jumped out to an early one-goal lead on Tuesday, and the Canucks spent the rest of the night trying to catch up on the way to a 4-1 road loss. Connor Garland provided the only bright spot.
Garland scores on the rebound.
With this third period power play tap-in.
We weren't ready to play the first period. You can't give them a. It was only 1-0, but I didn't think we won a battle. Second, third, we came. I thought we had some chances. We didn't bury them. But, you can't give a team like that a 2-goal lead.
Including overtime and shootout losses to the Calgary Flames and the Philadelphia Flyers, the Canucks remain winless to start the season.
Through 3 games last year, the quartet of Elias Pettersson, Brock Besser, JT Miller, and Quinn Hughes had combined for 19 points. They have 8 points collectively, and 5 of those came in the opening period.
Elias Pettersson, now in the first year of his $92 million contract, has just 1 assist so far this season.
It's early still, but it's not an excuse. We gotta change it now. We're not happy with the start, we have a chance tomorrow to make it right.
The team's leading scorer last season, JT Miller, has provided excitement in the form of hits and a fight, but clearly expects more from himself.
We talked a lot about building the standard, and right now we're just not playing up to that. And a lot of that is hardly X's and O's. It's urgency and determination, and has nothing to do with the puck right now for the most part.
The Canucks will be looking to pick up their first win of the season Thursday when they visit the defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers.
We'll just try to focus on that first shift and have a good first 20 minutes, first good period, and go from there.
3 games is a small sample size, and a couple consecutive wins on this road trip could quickly change the conversation. Ben Milger, CTV News, Vancouver.
A Metro Vancouver man will spend up to 4 years in prison before he is deported after pleading guilty to a triple stabbing that left his sister-in-law dead and 2 others, including a 2-year-old girl, seriously injured in October of 2020. Harpreet Singh has been sentenced to 10 years in prison, minus the 6 years in credit for time already served in custody for manslaughter and 2 counts of aggravated assault following the knife attack at a Surrey townhouse. Singh's trial in a BC Supreme Court heard that the 39-year-old stabbed his sister-in-law, Baljit Kaur, with a kitchen knife following a family argument. Kaur was holding a toddler in her arms during the attack, and the child suffered cuts to her lower body. That's all of our news for now. From all of us here at CFTK-TV News, I'm Cale Maslin, and thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.